Hey everybody, welcome back to Discus Talk. Today's topic is going to be Hexamita. This is going to be the first video in a series. Just a second, let me take that off real quick. Okay, Hexamita is going to be the first parasite in a series that I'm going to do every week for the next few weeks. I don't know, a lot of people know what Hexamita is. A lot of people know that it's a parasite and, it can make you sick or make your fish sick, and that sort of thing. But nobody really seems to know what it is. So today I'm going to go through exactly what Hexamita is, what it does to your fish, and what some of the treatments are. I've got some research studies that I have been reading up on. And I've been reading up on them for a while. I actually posted an article on Simply Discus Forum probably about 2 years ago based on 2 of these 3 research papers. The information in them was extremely interesting to me because from what the necropsies that I've had done, I have never had Hexamita in my fish, and that includes angelfish. And Hexamita is predominantly in angelfish, but it's also in discus and other cichlids. So I found it very interesting and started, doing research on what could be the reason why it's never been found in my fish. I have seen it in the house one time, and that was a pair of fish that were in quarantine, and I found dead Hexamita in the poop samples from them, which I also found interesting because there were no live Hexamita in the poop. So I'm going to go through some general different things. The first thing that I want to say is Hexamita is not a worm. I have seen people saying that metronidazole is a dewormer, and it's not. And I had somebody message me a couple weeks ago and asked me if the worms that they had a video of were Hexamita worms. And I explained to them that Hexamita is not a worm. So what is it? Hexamita is a flagellated protozoa. Ick is a protozoa. Some of the other ones are protozoas, and this is just a different type of protozoa. Hexamita generally is found in the intestines of fish, and it's found in the areas of the intestine that are lower in stomach acids. So they don't like the real acidy areas of the intestines. They stay in the lower acid area, which is an interesting fact. So what does it do? It interrupts the digestion for fish. It can give them an upset stomach. But if a fish has a good immune system, they can actually keep it from affecting them. Their immune system, it kicks in and it takes over, and it can keep worms from, causing problems. It can keep Hexamita from causing problems because most of your parasites are opportunistic. Hexamita is also an opportunistic parasite. Let me show you what Hexamita actually looks like under a SIM. This is not under a regular microscope. Because I found this picture most interesting, I wanted to show it. Let's see. Screen share. And that should be the right one. No, that is not the right one. Sorry. Screen 1. No, screen 2. Okay. This is what Hexamita looks like under a SIM. I'll put that in the chat. A SIM it's a different kind of microscope. It shows a lot more detail. You can see that they have sort of an oval shaped body or an elongated body. And all of these coming off of it are the flagellates, the flagella. They're not worms. They're sort of like antennae and help them to move around in the water. If I'm not mistaken, the other picture I have should be from the light microscope. No, it's not. These are some other ones that you can also see. Different shapes, kind of, but you see all of them have the flagellates coming off. And this is called Spironucleus Vortex, which is the proper name for Hexamita in angelfish and in Discus. There are different types of flagella that affect other types of fish, but this is the one that you predominantly see in Discus and in angelfish. And let me stop the screen share for a minute. Yes, that is definitely protozoal. They are particularly flagellates in the protozoas. So I'm going to go back to 1995, and I'm going to show you one of the papers that I enjoy reading, if it'll come up. And I'm going to take it down to the bottom to the summary of the paper because there's no point in reading this entire paper. Oh, wait. I can show you some more pictures from these things. And this is also from a scanning electron microscope. Pull this up. And then you guys can just watch as I'm going through. There we go. They're pretty nasty looking little creatures. With the scanning electron microscope, they can see differences in the structure of the protozoa so that they can determine precisely which one it is. And it was with the SIM that they determined that there are at least 6 different species of this flagellate, and they're all in the Spironucleus category. I don't think there are any from the light microscope in this particular one. This is a lot more detail about how it's shaped, what its structures are, the nuclei, and that sort of thing. Let me see. All right, we're getting down to another one. And this one, I think this one was just a description of the morphology, the ultrastructures, and that sort of thing. So this one doesn't have the information that I was wanting to share. So it talks about the relationship with the host, and they do not have a full description of the relationship with the host on these. There's still a lot of research that still needs to be done with Hexamita or a Spironucleus. This was an in vitro study, and this one I found extremely interesting in trying to determine the reason why none of my fish seem to have the Spironucleus or the Hexamita. And I've read the whole thing. It was best in the description. It was said best in the description, though. So I'm going to do that. I don't know if I can zoom in. Let me take myself off the picture for a moment. There we go. How about we do it this way? Can you guys hear me now? Okay. This part right here, I'm sorry you missed the first part. It says that the optimal pH for S-Vortens is 6.5 to 7.5. So that is a good range of what we keep our discus in. And that's kind of difficult for us to change. Let me go back up, because I think it's on that part. No, it's not. It's further down. Okay, in vitro environmental conditions, a temperature of 25 and a pH between 6.5 to 7.5 are considered as optimal conditions. Oh, I thought I had this up here, but I don't. Sorry, I'm going to have to find something. I'm missing part of it. The most suitable temperature for raising angelfish is 22 to 30. We know that. Okay, the parasite's growth was significantly suppressed and was lethal within 24 hours at a temperature of 37. We cannot take our fish up to 37 degrees. Let's see if I can find it. I know it's around here close to the end part that I'm looking for. Okay. The optimal temperature was 25. 22 degrees, the organisms survived longest and had no difference in growth rate compared to those at 25. They were less active throughout the culture period. At 28 and 31, the parasites had a high replication rate, reached maximum numbers by day 4, but did not survive after that time. So that tells us that temperature does make a difference in the lifespan of the spironucleus, which is something that's really important for us to know. And a lot of people already know this. Hi, everybody that I missed coming in. I know a lot of you guys just came in. I thought I had this pulled up and I don't. All right, I'm going to go up to the top because I know it's in the abstract. Okay, this has to do with the pH range, and it says optimal pH range for the parasite's growth was 6.5 to 7.5, with the highest cell number at 7.5. They survived the longest, 15 days at pH 6. Okay, here it is. Although the maximum number of cells was lower than those of optimal pH, parasites were dead within 24 hours at a pH level above 8.5 and below 5.5. And I found that interesting, and it made me start thinking that maybe, let's see, pull myself back up, with my fish not having the parasite themselves, and I have had angelfish and I have had discus. I've got, other species. You see I've got plecos and guppies and betas and everything. So you would think with as many fish as I've got, as many sources as I've come from, that at least one of my fish would have spiro, and probably all of them, since it can live in the fish without being sick, without the fish becoming sick, because their immune system can keep them in check. Now, if your fish becomes sick, yeah, they're going to take a moment, they're going to reproduce, they're going to overwhelm the fish, and your fish is going to be really sick. But without, having some stress, having something happen, the Hexamita is really not going to hurt them. We also, we talked about hole in the head. They had one fish that they took a sample of. the hole in the head and found Spironucleus in it or Hexamita in it. But that did not mean that Hexamita is the cause of hole in the head. It's not. They've studied many species, taken samples from many species, and they only had one fish come back with Spiro in it. Some of them were bacterial. Some of them they didn't find anything. That's when it led them to believe that it's possible that hole in the head is actually started by lack of minerals in the water, and that bacteria, protozoans, and things like that kind of take advantage of it. Any testing on bloating? I have not actually looked up anything for bloating, but I may do that at some point. And I'm going to pull up the last PDF that I pulled, and there are tons of them, and I've read tons of them. All of them do say the same thing about the alkalinity and the salinity or the acidic of water having the effect. Anything, and what I found is a median. It seems that anything above 8, it can't survive, and anything below 6, it cannot survive. So that was a really interesting one. Oh, good. This is open to where I wanted it to be. These are the medications that were tested to see which medications would work on the spironucleus. And let me get this up here real quick. There we go. At the top of it is magnesium sulfate. But the magnesium sulfate has to be at concentrations higher than 60 milligrams per milliliter. I do not know if our fish can be in that high of a concentration or not. I do recommend, if you make your own food, that you add Epsom salt to it. That does 2 things. It can help with keeping the Hexamita numbers low, and it also helps with digestion. So it's not really a bad thing to have a little bit of Epsom salt in your food. Let's see. Information. Okay, it says that more information is needed on that. Of the 7 chemotherapeutic agents investigated in this study, dimetrodazole, metronidazole, and mebendazole were the most effective compounds in vitro at inhibiting the growth of spironucleus. But it also goes on to say that the success of individual treatments is dependent on both drug concentration and time of exposure. And that is something that is extremely important, because many of the medications, the metronidazole medications that are sold, I can't say which ones, but one of them is a very popular one. It is a very low dose of metronidazole, and it will not work against Hexamita. What will end up happening is these medicines given at low dosage for a short period of time are going to make these protozoa resistant, and that's something we really don't want. I did read in here that from the 3 medications listed, that my dimetrodazole was the best and most effective, but it is not available in fish medication. It is in pigeons, but not in fish. Metronidazole can be purchased pure, and I will be giving some away today, thanks to Crown Tail. Crown Tail won the Hexa X from Joe Van at Myrtle Beach Discus a couple of weeks ago, and he has donated it back to the channel to be given out today. So we are going to have a drawing, and again, this is for the subscribers only. But that was very generous, and I really appreciate you doing that, Crown Tail. Let me pull up another screen real quick. I'm going to see if I can find a photo of Hexamita with a light microscope, because I don't think I can find my photos of it. Images. Let me pull this up on you guys' screen so you can see what I'm working on. There's some good drawings of them, but there's one. Let's see if I can go full screen with it. No. Try this one. These are actually some really good images if they'll come up. Oh, that's a search thing. I don't know how good you guys can see that, but that is what it looks like under a light microscope. The only ones that I have photos of were dead when I found them, but they look very similar to this, but they were shrunken in size, and you could see their flagellates were straightened, probably because they were on a slide. But that's kind of what they look like under a light microscope, and you can see the measurement there, and I like that they've got that on there too. So that's how big it is under a microscope. And I hope this has been very, very informative for you guys. Does anybody have any questions, or did I kind of cover everything? I'm hoping that I covered everything, because I was kind of wanting to make sure that we can keep this one short and keep the all the parasite videos a little bit shorter. So, and yes, it really affects all of the fish. Some of them, if they're cooler water, they may have the salmonus or one of the others, but Hexamita or Spironucleus is found across the board. And technically, what we find as fish is not Hexamita, it's Spironucleus. It was accidentally given the wrong name years ago, and it kind of stuck. Let's see. Your age tap is 9. You probably won't have any issues. I'm still working on finding out if their life cycle has them in the water at some point, because your water pH does not change the pH of the intestinal tract. So the fish, the Spironucleus would have to enter the water column in order for it to kill them. But that is something that I'm trying to find right now, is if they have to go outside of the fish in order to reproduce, then eventually they're all going to die in the water, which I don't have an issue with that. But I am trying to find that out. This talk is specifically for Hexamita. There are other parasites. There's other protozoas that other medications need to be used for. I am going to go through those at a later time. I may even do the other protozoas, the external protozoas, next week. I think the metronidazole, the mebendazole, and the dimetrodazole pretty much work on all of the intestinal parasites, except for the ones that are not treatable, like Cryptobia eubulans and Mycobacterium and that sort of thing. I think metronidazole pretty much covers the rest. It does cover all of the Spironucleus, not just the Vortex, which Hexamita is Spironucleus Vortex in angelfish and Discus. Excuse me. But that is the actual name for it in those two fish, and some of the others as well. Most of the South American fish will see it at some point and possibly have it. So that one is interesting. Are you guys ready for the giveaway? I'm going to wait about 5 minutes. Anybody that's not subscribed to the channel, go ahead and get subscribed. In 5 minutes, I'm going to do the drawing for the metronidazole, and it's called Hexa X, and it's coming out of Myrtle Beach Discus. So if you guys want to get entered into the drawing, we'll be doing that in about 5 minutes. So I want to see if there's any more questions I can field before I do that, though. I hope you guys have been doing okay. I've missed coming on here and talking to you guys. It's been kind of hectic around here lately. And Kim's feeling really, really in a really, really better. She called me this morning and we were having chit chats this morning. I'm glad she's feeling better too. We've been worried about her. She's had pneumonia and she still has pneumonia, but it's getting better. So I'm very glad about that. I don't know what we'd do without Kim. Kim is doing our drawing today, by the way, and she's going to videotape it. And if anybody needs a copy of the video for the drawing, you can let me know and I'll make sure you get it. S, human metro, and fish metro is the same thing. So all you have to do is crush it up and use it the same way. You essentially measure it out. If one tablet is 250 milligrams, then that's 250 milligrams in the water. I don't feel comfortable giving the dosage for it. You'll have to do your own research for the dosage, and I do recommend that you do that because the dosage on most metronidazole packages is incorrect. And I do not feel comfortable doing that. I'm not a veterinarian. I can explain it to you and tell you what the best treatment is, but I'm not going to tell you how much to use. Yes, if you have metronidazole for your own illness, you need to use all of it. And don't stop until it is finished. Oh, something I want to mention while we're on the Hexamita. Bloodworms do not carry Hexamita. So you cannot give your fish Hexamita by feeding them bloodworms. What can happen, and this is something that I don't think people really realize, or maybe they do, is bloodworms at a certain age get a hard exoskeleton. That's the reason that we always recommend using Hikari, because most of the other companies do not harvest them early enough to keep them from having that exoskeleton. If you feed your Discus the bigger bloodworms with that exoskeleton, what can happen is the exoskeleton can get stuck in the intestines. And when that happens, it can cause you to get a Discus with white poop. And they may eventually pass that, or they may not. And yes, it can do harm to the Discus. You need to feed the young bloodworms. I feed omega-1 and I feed Hikari. Hikari is the very smallest I have seen. So it is okay to feed them that. What can end up happening if the shell gets caught in the intestines or they have trouble passing it is this is causing a stress on the fish. It lowers their immune system and other things can take over. You can start getting Hexamita reproduction and they can cause harm to the fish and that sort of thing. It's not that bloodworms are bad for them as far as that. Bloodworms are not parasite full and that sort of thing. All the companies that do the frozen bloodworms, they clean them and they pack them with vitamins so that you're getting vitamins in them. But it's not really a parasite that's harming the fish. If you're getting the white poop after feeding it to them, it could just be that the shell has gotten caught. The shell was too big. Discus have trouble, especially blue diamonds seem to have trouble with pooping sometimes. Crown tail brings up a good thing. You can also feed them peas to help them pass everything, and you can do Epsom salt baths as well. No, white poop is not automatically parasites. White poop can be the same as a stomach virus from a person. Fish can get it too. It's not necessarily parasites. We have upset stomachs. We don't automatically think that we've got parasites. And it's the same with fish. They can have an upset stomach. They can have a good bacteria imbalance in the stomach and cause an upset stomach, and you have white poop. And it can be a bacterial infection. It can be, just a lot of different things. It can be a change in the diet. You introduce a new food. The same with a puppy. If you start feeding them a new food and you don't give them time to adjust to it, it can cause them to have an upset stomach. It's the same with any fish. Not just Discus. So that was an interesting thing. Yeah, Joseph, I agree with that. That may explain that completely. They're always full of poop. I'm gonna tell you, I've seen some blue diamond strains that, I kid you not, they had poop the size of my pinky finger, and I wondered how they got that stuff out of there. But that's another reason to put a little Epsom salt in their homemade foods. That'll help them pass all of that, make it easier for them. Okay, has it been 5 minutes, Kim? I think it has. All right, Kim, how do you want me to do it? You want to just grab the names from the chat, or Kim has I think it has an app for the drawing stuff. I don't, so let's see. We don't have very many participants yet, but that's okay. All right, guys. Kim, you can get started whenever you want to. And make sure you're recording so that if anybody asks for it. Well, then we'll have to do the drawing with 6 people. Somebody's going to be lucky. Everybody's got good chances. I'm only seeing 4 participants, and that's, I think, including myself. Guys, make sure you hit that thumbs up button before you head out. Sorry, I got to respond to this right quick. Okay. It says you're subscribed. Okay. Hi, Scott. We had a couple people come in since I called for the drawing, Kim. Okay. Kim, can you pull them from the chat itself? If I do the, then if we do like a hashtag or something? Or does it work like that? I don't know how it works, so. Okay, you have 7. Okay, I'm going to give it a few more minutes, Kim, and make sure we get everybody in the drawing for the metronidazole. Radislow, we see you, or at least I see you. So, Fishymon, what's up, Fishymon? Welcome to the stream, y'all. A few more coming in. So, we'll give it a couple more minutes, and then we'll do the giveaway. All right. Sorry, I keep looking because that chat's faster than this one. So make sure you click that like button. So it's something real simple that helps the channel. I appreciate you guys all coming in. The channel's growing in subscribers. We hit 700 subscribers before the last live stream, and we're just over that now. So you guys make sure if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Um, that helps out a lot, along with the clicking likes on the videos. Teresa, we see you. I see you. And welcome to the stream. Sorry, I'm getting messages still. Oh, you guys that missed the beginning of it, you need to go back and look at it. It's very interesting, the Hexamita. Thank you, Crown Tail. It's taken a long time to get there. We've been doing this for about a year and trying to get the information out. So it's been a long one. Ricky, I don't know if I said hi to you when you came in, but hi, Ricky. Always enjoy having you guys in visit. I'm going to try to start getting back on some of the channels and watching them. I haven't had time. I got busy with work and stuff with this fish room and that sort of thing, so I've been real busy. But I'm going to try to get back and check out you guys' stuff. I have been going back and watching videos when I can. Crown Tail, I'll be honest with you, I do not know the dosage for the Epsom salt in the home foods. I am going to be finding out very soon because we're about to make another batch of beef heart and I want to add it to ours. Like I said, I've seen some really big poopy from some of the blue strains. So I want to add that in and kind of help them out there. And plus, we don't know if Spironucleus is the only protozoa that Epsom salt will help with. So I saw you come in, Ricky. I just was distracted, I think. Did you get your package? I never did check it to make sure you got it in. I've got some new fish coming in. I've got, I actually ordered a trio of the gold, what are they called? The 4K gold streamer guppies. And we ended up losing the mail because the post office did not deliver the thing fast enough. So we lost the mail. I've got 2 females sitting here and I've got 2 more coming. I've got another male and another female coming. So those are going to be interesting for us to play with. We have the Japanese blues that we're breeding, and we have the red dragon mosaics that we're breeding. So it'll be a nice change to have the golds in here. Hi, Jeff. Welcome to the stream. I do have, for the first time ever, I have got betta fry swimming in one of my tanks. So I am very excited about that. I've had bettas for years. I've always kept male bettas in the house, but this is the first time that that I've ever tried to breed. And I was on the phone with Kim when they started actually breeding, and I think I went bat crazy for a minute. And I ended up having to get off the phone with her. It was so funny. Kim was making fun of me over it, but I didn't care. My betta fish were having babies, so I was excited. And it was awesome. Thank you, Fisherman. Thank you, Crown Tail. They are crown tails. The female and the male are both blue crown tails. So I should have a bunch of little blue crown tails running around before long. And I'm really excited. He was trying to count them earlier because they're little pin dots in the water right now, and they do seem to be eating. So that was something we were worried about. You know, what do you feed these little pinpoints in the water? You know, and the male's still gathering them up and spitting them back in the bubble nest, which that's awesome to see. The Discus do that as well when the babies start first swimming. They spit them back on the cone. So that's something similar between a betta and a Discus. So that was really, really cool. Yes, we're feeding baby brine shrimp. We are. We talked about crushing flakes into a powder and trying that, but we harvested very early the baby brine shrimp after they hatched and put those in, and they are eating the baby brine shrimp. So we are good with that. Hi, Craig. It's nice to see you. And yes, some places are freezing. We're not exactly having cold temperatures, but it's not exactly warm either. Thank you, Francis. Now if I can see it. Okay, he sent me the treatment for Epsom salt. But I do not see where it says how much to add to the food. So it may not be in there. The only reference that I have in my book that I use for dosages does not have the dosage either. It only talks about the bath. So this is also only talking about the bath. Okay. Okay. Did I say hi to everybody? Hi, Craig. Hi, Martin. Martin Joseph, I did see that somewhere that you feed them the egg yolk, but I was worried about contaminating the water too much and not being able to do a water change with the babies floating around, so I decided not to. Hi, Jay Mad. Welcome to the stream. We are about to do a giveaway, so I'm trying to wait and see if everybody gets in before we do it. I'm giving away I cannot remember how big the package was, but I think it's a 20 gram of Hexa X, which is metronidazole. I am glad, Craig, that you have been able to learn something. I'm hoping that I can teach people things to make them understand better the different parasites. Craig, I had never thought about it. I've seen so many times that people said my discus have worms. What do I treat it? And people were saying to use metronidazole. And it never occurred to me that people thought that metronidazole was a worm until somebody asked me about it. Somebody had told him that the worms that were in this lady's water were Hexamita worms. He sent me a video. They were planaria or detritus, one or the other. And I explained to him, that that's not Hexamita. Hexamita is not a worm; it's a protozoa. So that was, when it occurred to me that maybe I needed to come in and just do these different talks on the different parasites, and that way people would understand it a little bit better. Dream fish keeping. I am not getting angelfish. I am going to be getting discus from Myrtle Beach. He is looking to special order some for me, and it will probably be a couple of weeks, and I will do an unboxing on it. Let's see. I need to speak with you during fish keeping. I sent you a message on Instagram. I posted it on your YouTube channel. If you could get in touch with me, I would love to have you come up and do an interview with me very soon. I would love to help you grow your channel. I think your channel is going to be amazing. And I would love to help you grow it. If you would like to do that, just shoot me an email at discustalk@yahoo.com or catch up with me on Facebook so we can work on that. I do want to have you up. Absolutely. Craig, if you invest in a microscope, whatever you do, do not pull stuff off the bottom of your tank. It will scare you to death. I have people do that all the time, and they send me videos. There are many, many living things in the aquarium that are not parasites, including roundworms. There are free-living roundworms that live in the aquarium that are not parasites. They will not harm your fish. So you'll sit there and you'll pull that up into the microscope and you'll see that worm and you're like, oh my God, it's a worm. I got to treat my fish. When actually it's a beneficial worm. It's part of your flora and fauna. I think that's the biggest drawback of the microscope is you see something and you think, is it a parasite, and you don't know. One of the things that I did was try to learn what was present in the aquariums, because if it's in all your aquariums, it's most likely part of your fauna. But if you find something different in one, then you start looking it up and you try to figure out what it is. It's still, if it comes off the bottom, it's most likely something that's good and not something that's bad. So, lots of things move. There's tons of protozoa that live in the water. Sometimes you can see the bacteria that lives in water. It's a little bit harder to see. You really need to stain it. But there's millions and millions and millions of things in the water. So, Lefty, welcome to the stream. You've missed all the juicy parts, so you're probably going to have to rewatch it. But there's a lot of things in the aquarium. I think that what Alex does on his channel is really informative. But you always also have to keep in mind that, a lot of the living things are not harmful. All right. I'm hoping everybody's almost here. We got 31 now, so we're way up from what we were. I don't have a whole lot that I can really talk about right now. If you guys have questions, we can wait a few more minutes and see if anybody comes in before we do the giveaway. Yeah, Craig, if you knew anything about the bacteria that lives in aquariums, you probably wouldn't put your hand in there anyway. But a lot of it has to do with our own immune systems. So usually pretty safe, not too much to worry about. But, thanks to Crown Tail, Lefty, we are giving away some Hexa X, that is metronidazole, which treats Hexamita. For those who are just coming in, I was explaining earlier that Hexamita is not a worm, it's a protozoa. It seems a lot of people were under the impression that it's a type of worm, and it's not. What is the cause of fish swimming face up? That could be a bacterial infection. It usually involves the swim bladder. It could be parasites, but it's usually when you have any type of standing, whether it's tail standing or head standing, it's usually going to be a bacterial issue. How often? I don't use any medication as a preventative. I do not recommend it. When you're bringing fish in for quarantine, metronidazole is a part of the quarantine process. So if you do your quarantine process and you're treating with metronidazole, you have killed the parasites. There's no need to treat again. That is something that is true for your worms, any of the parasites that you're treating, because you're going to treat all the parasites when you bring the fish in. But between the praziquantel, the metronidazole, the levamisole, you've covered your bases, essentially. You've gotten rid of your flukes. You've gotten rid of your ick, because ick is actually can be treated with prazi. Metronidazole covers your internal flagellates. Your levamisole covers your roundworms. So if you're treating everything when it comes in before you put it into your main tank, you do not have to treat again unless you're feeding live foods. I do not have any idea if blackworms carry the protozoa. I do not think that they do. I know bloodworms don't carry, well, if they're frozen bloodworms, they're not carrying anything. So that should not be an issue. Craig, that's hard. I mean, it is really hard for you guys in Australia and the people in the UK not being able to get metronidazole. Okay, Kim is about to do the drawing when she can spell. And get that out of the way. That way we know who the winner is. Like I said, she's going to videotape it. If anybody has any questions about the drawing, she's going to send me the video. And if you have questions, shoot me a message and I'll shoot you the video. Right now, that's the best way to do it. The number thing is just sometimes a little bit of a hassle. Seriously, Craig, they didn't do something right. That is weird. But I do, like I said before, I recommend using the smaller ones. The Omega ones are okay, and the Hikari are okay. I would just avoid the bigger ones. Yeah, that would be kind of funny if Crown Tail won it again. That would be real funny. And if the winner is Craig, I guess, Craig, you can pick who you want to give it to. Let's see. My chat is not speeding up any faster. J Mad. Congratulations, J Mad. Shoot me a message on my email, and that's discustalk@yahoo.com. And we will I'll get with Myrtle Beach Discus, and we'll see about getting that out to you. Yeah, blackworms seem to be hard to come by right now. I know a lot of people are trying to get their hands on the live blackworms, but they seem to be having trouble finding them. A lot of people are going to the freeze-dried blackworms. I actually just ordered a pound of Tubifex for mine, so I don't know if I'll get it. I think she said that she's going to start shipping them next week, so we shall see. Let me see what's... Okay, nothing. All right, congrats, J-Mad. I don't see you in here. I hope you're still in here. Oh, I did not catch that. Okay. Kim, are you able to delete one of the names and redo the drawing? Because that one wasn't quite fair if we had two of the same person in. I do appreciate you doing that during fish keeping. That is absolutely awesome that you did that. I do really, really appreciate you doing that. So we're going to do a do-over for the drawing. And it's okay. I mean, you just didn't realize that it was going to do that. That's fine. Okay, let's see who the next winner is going to be. Thanks, Kim. Yeah, Kim is a really, really good friend, and she's been sick with pneumonia. I'm glad she's here, and I really appreciate her being here to do the drawing for us. And she is feeling better, so that's awesome. I wish Carrie could have been here, but if I'm not mistaken, Carrie is in the Keys right now on vacation. Unfortunately, I can't go. I would love to go to the Keys. I'm going to go down there sometime. No. And she's working on it. So, hi, Danikin. Welcome to the stream. You've missed the meat of it, but I'm still hanging out with everybody. So, Joseph Martin, congratulations. And I will get with you. Actually, I'll probably just message you. It'll be easier than getting an email. And then I'll get with Joe Van and let him know that you have won the Hexa X. So that's absolutely amazing. Kenny, I was just telling everybody that I'm going to be back in the live streams visiting everybody soon. I've just been really, really busy between the fish and work and so much stuff going on. So I'm going to be hanging out with you guys again soon, hopefully. I've missed coming and checking out everybody's live streams and making changes to mine based on things that I like about you guys'. And I have made changes to mine. So, and I'm still working on it. It's still a work in progress. Now, I am going to be doing these live streams weekly, and it's going to be a different parasite each week. I do believe that next week we'll do the external protozoas, which there are, I'll probably do it on roughly 3 or 4 of them. I don't really know, because some of them are not really found very often. So I'm not going to do them on all of them. I'm going to pick the ones that we see the most. I'm going to include ick simply because we don't really see it in Discus, but most of us do have other fish. So I'm going to do that one, and that one's one that we see a lot. So, hi, Matt. Welcome to the stream. You missed the good part, but we're just hanging out now. Does anybody have questions about the Hexamita or the medication or that sort of thing? Yes. If you hit that bell, you'll get my notifications when I'm on. I'm going to try to be keeping it at the same time each week, and I do apologize for any of the fish fan people that I am overriding. I am trying to accommodate people in other countries, and that's been difficult because I have a lot of viewers in the UK, and I'm starting at midnight for them. My German and Dutch followers are getting it at 1 a.m. So it is very, very hard to try to find a good time. The signs of Hexamita and the signs of, let's say, tapeworms or roundworms is pretty much the same. You hear people say, oh, well, if it's fluffy, it's this, and if it's stringy, it's that. None of that is actually true. The poop looks like just white poop. It could be fluffy, it could be stringy, it could be thick, it can be thin, it can be anything, and it can be any of those parasites. So it is hard to tell without a microscope. People say that there are, Joseph, I love that question. Can I cover the parasites that are killed by Pumifix and Melifix? I can do that right now. There are absolutely none. That includes fungus and bacteria. You cannot use one of those to kill anything. There is a study that was done that may show that those two things mixed together can kill one protozoa, but there is not enough research on it to say that it will work. So the answer at this time is none. That may change. If that study comes through, if they continue that study on mixing the two medications together, which are not medications, they're herbs, if that study continues, my answer may change. So, Craig, you'd be surprised. I've got one study that was done, and it was not done by the company. They were actually studying each of the products separately, and each of the products separately did absolutely nothing, which is kind of what we expected them to say, that it does nothing. But they did have a finding when they mixed the two of them together that it did work on some protozoa. But one research paper does not constitute fact. It constitutes the results of that one paper. If they do, 5, 10 studies on it and the results are all the same, then they can actually put it out as a fact. But at this point, they've got one research paper showing it. So no, the answer to the question was nothing. It will treat nothing. Yes, they are very good air fresheners. However, Discus do not care for malefics. I did put some in there one time, and they did not like it. We've all bought it, Craig. We've all fallen into the pit of what the stores are pushing, what they're selling, and we've all done it. Every fish store, they want to sell the medications that they have, so they tell you this will work for this, and they sell it to you, and you use it. But yeah, no, that's one that I won't fall into again. I do my homework on the medicines and find out exactly what it is, what it does, and what the correct dosage is. And the correct dosage is one of the most important things you will ever need when you're treating your fish, because if you don't have the correct dosage and you underdose, you're creating superbugs, and that is something we do not want to do. Joseph, I actually wonder if that would work, but I don't even know if there's any studies done on it. I may have to look that up later, just to see if there's any study done on using medical marijuana for fish. That would be just too cool. That would be too cool. And I know exactly where I'd go to get my medicine. Fish, yeah, fish with the munchies. Absolutely. That would be too funny. And our metabolisms aren't very different, from the fish. So that is actually a very distinct possibility. But I would not try it because there's also the distinct possibility that it would kill the fish. So, but that is something I might have to look for and just to see. That is too funny to even think. I've never even thought of it. That's a good one. See, Kenny, I mean, yeah, why wouldn't it? You know what? Here, let me do this. Y'all got me thinking. This is not funny. Okay, share screen. Screen. This one. Wow. All right. Let's try doing the search differently. I've got CBD. Oh. Let me see what this one is. Oh, this is this particular probiotic is one that I recommend. This one is called Bacillus Subtilis. And if you find food that has it in it, I know Seacom's Discus Flakes has it in it with the probiotics. That is one I highly recommend because we see a lot of the Aeromonas bacteria, and this one actually blocks it from harming the fish. So that one is a dietary supplement that I do recommend. And okay, so what I'm finding is not much, so I'll probably have to do an in-depth search. This is actually not Google, it is Google Scholar. Anything that I put into the search engine pulls up research papers rather than the regular stuff that you find, like the little articles and stuff. This actually pulls up the research papers. But I am going to, now that you guys have mentioned it, I am going to be looking this up because you guys have got me thinking now. So, all right, you guys got any more questions? Because I am actually exhausted today. I have been busy all day. Yes, S, you missed something about the Ganji. We are going to do some research and find out if THC will help with fish that are not eating. So that could be definitely something to look at. Yes, stream fish keeping. That is the absolute best place to be. I'll write it down. Crown Tail, you can send me a message in about a week and ask me if I looked it up. And you can remind me of it. Because you know me. I get researching something and I go off to something else. How often? I don't use any medication as a preventative at all. I treat once in quarantine and then I don't treat again. Yes, that's true, but that doesn't mean that it won't help with the munchies. It may give the fish munchies. You never know. So that could very well be something to look at. And what are the effects of it? That's really what I'm going to look at, is what are the effects of THC on fish. And see if because there is some stuff coming up about CBD on here. So they apparently have looked at it, and I'm curious what they found. So I'm definitely going to. Craig, I will turn it on, but I do know that I am going to sleep early tonight. So Paperhead. I'm not sure what paperhead is, Kenny. Are you talking about hole in the head? Crown Tail, I'm not going to do a dosage for the metronidazole, but I use it in the water. I don't do food dosages because your medication is dosed based on the weight of your fish, and I'm not pulling my fish out to weigh them. And I don't want to underdose, and I don't want to overdose. And you can't overdose your fish on metronidazole. You can overdose your fish on most of the medications. The same things that you can overdose on, you can overdose your fish on. So that's something to be careful with. I don't like it in food for that reason. I haven't heard of that, Kenny. I'm going to look that up, though. Hole in the head can very well go all the way in. So let me write that down because that's the first I've heard of that. And I actually saw a fish 2 days ago on Facebook that had a huge hole between his eyes, and I've never seen hole in the head that big. And all I could think was, how did he let it get that bad without some kind of treatment? So I'm definitely going to look at that. All right. Do you guys have any more questions? The cannabis was a good one. I like that you guys brought that up because I've never really thought about it. I know that a lot of the medications that we use actually work in Discus and are actually used in Discus. So I do want to look at that and see what they have found. I'm sure that they have done it. So Canaplex and Metroplex are low dose kanamycin and metronidazole. I do not know the exact dosage in it. And if I do not know how many milligrams of Metro or how many milligrams of kanamycin are in it, I won't use it. You can order pure kanamycin and pure metronidazole from certain companies. I know Everything Aquatic has them. I know that Gemco carries Metro, and I think they're probably cheaper than Dina at Everything Aquatic. They don't carry Canaplex, or Kanamycin, I don't think. But if you have the pure medication and you've got to put in 250 milligrams, you can weigh out 250 milligrams and dose it, and you know that you've got the right amount. If you take those packets may have, half a dose, and they tell you it's this many grams. Well, if you weigh that powder out, it may be that many milligrams on the scale, but half of that or 3/4 of that may be the fillers that they use. So you're not getting the medication that you're supposed to be getting to the fish. And that is how superbugs are created. So that's something that Kenny, it may not be that, honestly, that may not be a thing, but I am going to look that up. And I'll probably mention it in the next stream. The next stream, I think I'm doing the external protozoa, what they are, what they do, and what the treatment is. And I think one of the medications I talked about today, which was dimetrodazole, I think it treats some of the external parasites. So, and dose every 8 hours. Actually, metronidazole, the way that I dose is dosed every other day. I changed how I'm dosing my stuff. So I'm doing it by books, and I pull up their dosages. I've got a prescription here for kanamycin for one of my fish that I got from a veterinarian. By the way, kanamycin is not sold in any pharmacy. Just so you know that. I did have trouble trying to get that prescription filled, and I ended up just ordering it from Dina. But that prescription actually said the instructions on it were for a 1 hour bath every day. And it was 1 hour bath every day. So, we dose and we put the medicine in and we let them sit there overnight, and then we do a water change and then we redose the medicine. Well, that may not be the way it's supposed to be done. So that's something that everybody needs to watch out for. Hi, Jeffrey. Welcome to the stream. Superbug. Kim is a superbug. Oh. So, anything else, guys, before I go relax for the rest of this evening? Oh, no, Kenny. Wasting disease. You have cross-contamination, most likely. I didn't realize what you were talking about earlier, but if they're turning dark and they're kind of hanging out in the back or hiding behind stuff, and you have just added new fish in, it's probably cross-contamination. I would add about 5 tablespoons of aquarium salt and use Riddick Plus. Riddick Plus has formalin in it. And if you have Icex, I think it also has formalin in it. And that seems to be the only thing that we can use to treat them at the moment. Kanamycin may work, but honestly, we've tried and true with the Riddick Plus and salt, and it has to be a really high dosage of salt for it to work. Kim, you have a good evening and enjoy your sleep, and make sure you get some sleep tonight because you need it. It can happen, Craig. It can happen real fast. We've lost tanks of Discus to it too, to cross-contamination. And it can happen real quick, usually within 2 days, 3 days of adding the new fish to it. They start getting sick and they just start dropping off. And it's nasty. Not something I really want to mess with. We quarantine all of them and we start treating them with, praziquantel and the levamisole and the metronidazole. And we are adding kanamycin to our treatment schedule at the advice of a veterinarian. So that will cover all of the bases. That's going to cover the bacteria, the worms, the protozoa, and the whole 9 yards before we ever put them into a tank with anything else. Yes, ICX and Riddick Plus are both malachite green and formaldehyde. Right, Craig. Honestly, what it is probably just a bacterial infection. We think it is caused by bacteria because the formaldehyde seems to help. Sorry, I'm getting messages like crazy. But we think it is bacterial, and we think that it's similar to what happened with the Native Americans when the white people came over to the U.S. and they got smallpox. And they'd never been exposed to it. They had no natural immunity to it, and it wiped them out. Well, we think that it's the same thing with bacteria with the fish. You're bringing in a new fish, and it's got a bacteria that it has a resistance to, but the other fish in your tank won't. And it just ends up killing the fish. And we think that that's kind of what's going on. But once you get to treating, they should start feeling better. Good night, Kim. Let's see. Yeah, I always recommend doing at least an 8-week quarantine. I mean, it's not, even from a no matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you what I sold 20 discus and a bunch of my bristle nose plecos today, and they asked me about quarantining when they took them, and the first thing I said is, no matter who your supplier is, you need to quarantine your fish with treatment. I know that my fish are clean, but I don't want people thinking that they don't need to quarantine their fish if it comes from this supplier or that supplier. Even if it comes from the same supplier, but at a different time, those new fish need to be quarantined. So that's something to keep in mind. Everybody would think that, it's surprising that I told her she needed to quarantine the fish and that they needed to have quarantine treatment the same as any other fish, any other discus. No matter where you get it from, it still needs to be put into quarantine. Joseph, you have a good evening. Thank you for coming in, and we'll be in touch about the medication that you want. Discus are not hard, but there are rules, and as long as you're following those rules, you're not going to have an issue. I mean, I do recommend that you buy from a reliable source. Do a proper quarantine, and this includes your medications, and you really won't have a problem. We use a hero fish for most of the time. We take one of our existing stock and put them with the new ones just to make sure that there's not going to be an issue. There's just, different ways that you can ensure that you're not going to have issues with your main tank or with your discus. So and this was something that came up in one of the groups. I did have a troll following me around telling me that I am completely against planted tanks. I am not completely against planted tanks. I do think that if you're going to bring up juvenile fish, that you should probably do it in a bare bottom because it's easier to keep it clean because you're feeding so many times a day. You're going to feed your fish a lot. They're going to get really dirty really quick. And I think it's a good idea to have a bare bottom. But I have seen some absolutely gorgeous planted tanks with some absolutely gorgeous discus in them. So I am not completely against having plants or, sand or anything in it. I am a little bit against gravel, but that's just me. I think too much food gets caught up in the gravel. Let's see. It's always, hard when you don't quarantine. And I do hear a lot of people say that they don't, and they have good luck if they're not having issues when they don't quarantine. I've seen people get lucky and get lucky and get lucky, and then they bring in that one batch and they wipe out their entire tank. And it only takes one. So um, that's the reason that we preach quarantine so much with discus. And it really should be with all of your fish. A lot of fish are more hardy. They don't have problems with the bacterial infections that discus have, but it's still something that you should do. You should quarantine your fish. You don't know what protozoan they have. You don't know if they have, camelinus worms or capillaria. You don't know if they have gill flukes. You don't know what you're bringing in. So if you're doing a quarantine regimen with your medications, then you're cleaning that up. So in Canada, probably aquatopia.ca. I've seen that they have some really pretty fish in there. Craig's not going to leave the hobby. Let's see. Topia.ca. That's they're on Facebook. So I've seen some of their fish and they look really pretty in the videos and stuff. So they look really healthy in the videos. I can't guarantee that they're, not going to have issues, but they had really pretty fish. And they were the fish that they had in stock, and they looked really healthy when I saw the videos. So, wow, Craig, that's a lot of tanks. You're welcome, Frank. Canada is a hard place to get discus from, so I don't know if you guys were in here earlier. I have baby betas. They hatched out 2 days ago, and they are now trying to go all over the tank, but Dad keeps picking them up and putting them back in the bubble nest. It is absolutely amazing. I've never had beta babies, but now I have beta babies. Frank, they are. That's the other. There's 3 countries that I talk to people all the time. That's Australia, the United Kingdom, and Canada, and all 3 have serious issues with getting medications. And I think that's a shame. And from my understanding, there's not many veterinarians in Canada that will see fish. So, it is fun to watch. I really lost my stuff when they started, when she started laying eggs. I was on the phone with Kim, and I was just like, they're laying eggs, and I was freaking out, and I ended up getting off the phone with her so I could watch them lay eggs, because I'd never done it. I've had betas all this time, but they were all males, and I never wanted to breed them, and I decided to try it, and I sure enough have babies now, so I'm excited. A red, black, and yellow. Cool. Oh, crown tail, that's hard. 60 discus. Yeah, definitely don't give up. Is anybody live streaming right now? I'm sure I'm probably running over into somebody else's time. We're already an hour and a half in. And I'm not sure if there was anybody streaming after me or before me or. Okay. Okay, Frank, that's interesting. Can you email me the information on how you can get the pure antibiotics? That would be extremely helpful when I'm helping people in Canada. discustalk@yahoo.com. You know, Crown Tail, I really should have recorded it. I got a really short video and it's blurry. You can't really see it. I was just too excited to even bother recording it. I was just too excited. I just, you know, I like all of the babies. I like to see the babies being born and swimming around and all of that. So it's, yeah, it's fun. And I like the little betas. They're like little pinpoints in the water. They're so cute. Oh, Reiki, they're the angels that eat the eggs. I've had those. And then I had some that reproduced so fast I couldn't get rid of the babies. Yeah, amoxicillin is the usual treatment for thrush. So that is, it's helpful. It's not the best of medicines, but it'll definitely work. Ricky, are you the one that has the wild angels? I was trying to remember. Oh, somebody's got wild angels, the Altums. Crown Tail, if I get the information, I'm probably going to share it with everybody because that is extremely important and something that most people don't know how to get, and I don't know how to get it because I'm not in Canada. So that's going to be something really big. People message me all the time asking me how to treat Hexamita in Canada, and I'm like, with Epsom salt, because that's all that I know that they can get. The UK can get a couple of the other medications like Isha, Hexamita, and stuff like that, but it's really hard with people in Canada and people in Australia and New Zealand. Oh, snow dragon. But it's pretty. Yeah, Altums are really pretty. They get really, really big. Super big. And really pretty. Crowns out, I got you. I mean, when they were breeding, I was really, really excited. And I took that one video and that was all I took. I just did not even think about it. I was just too busy watching them. They laid for probably about 2 hours, an hour and a half to 2 hours. They were doing their hugging and laying and picking the eggs up and everything. So it went on for a while, but I was just super excited, and I just sat there watching them the whole time. I wish I had taken video, though, because it was really interesting watching them. I've never seen fish hug each other before, and that was the first time. So, all right, guys. Well, I am going to go off of here and get me some rest, and you guys have a great weekend. And I will catch you back here next week with the other protozoas, some ciliated and some not, some flagellated and some not. But until then, you guys have a good one and stay safe. And I will see you guys next time. Bye, y'all.